It's free. So just KEEPER. It just says keeper. It's got a yellow lock with a little @ sign inside the lock. If you go, for those of you who have a smartphone here today, if you just search under productivity in the App Store, where you really want to go is productivity, then security. I think it's the third or the fourth one down. And that's just one. That's the one that our company makes us have on our mobile devices. But it's really, really handy. It keeps you from keeping the Rolodex for the passwords. Keeps you from taping the paper next to your wall. It's something that's simple that not many people have. I knew I should have had it for a long time until my company maybe had it. It's life-changingly convenient. It will tell you. So you categorize all your passwords, things for your home, for your work, for travel, whatever. But it's just something that's very, very nice to use. So if we're on our computers at home and we're going about our daily business, our banking, our investment management, what kind of security is there? We're just on the internet at home.
None.
Well, Norton, whatever you buy.
Right, so there's, like if you look at the speaker's notes on this slide for the presentation when it first came out, it's like 4 pages long of all this stuff that at this point's all irrelevant already. There is some embedded security on certain web pages. At the end of the day, it's only going to be as secure as your actual Wi-Fi network. So when you go home, what I want you to do is this. Look at your Wi-Fi network on your computer, and it's either going to say WEP, WPA, or WPA2. I'm not going to ask anyone the difference between the three because I'm about to tell you. Hopefully no one knows. One time I actually did do this presentation, and I was taking questions afterwards, and I said, this was horrible. It was a total waste of my time. And I was talking to him, and I was, look like a jerk when someone says that to you in front of a group. And I asked him what he does. We were just talking individually afterwards. He says, well, I do cybersecurity. I design cybersecurity protection for companies. Well, great, thanks. Like, this isn't designed for you. But getting into that, the Wi-Fi security, most of them a few years ago had that WEP, wired equivalency privacy. Now most of them are WPA. The most secure of the classes is WPA2. So I was just in the back. I was just speaking with a gentleman here who was talking about someone I know, and he does this type of stuff for a living. One of the statements he made to me is the difference between WPA and WPA2 is not small. There are instructions online how to do it yourself. If you want to have the cable company come and redo it for you, they will do that. If you have someone that's somewhat tech savvy, they can do it for you as well. I consider myself somewhat tech savvy. I didn't even attempt to do it. I had my friend come over and set it up for me. But I will tell you, it took him about 10 minutes. From people who know it's worth doing. You want to have your security at home, be at least the WPA2. What's more secure than that are what are called VPNs. Does anyone use a VPN to log in? So that's when you have to have that really fun little token that goes on your keychain with the moving serial numbers. So those are the most secure environments. But unless you're logging on to, we have one at Prudential or like a major company that's paying the money for VPN because they're extremely expensive. Almost everyone in the room is going to be just using basic Wi-Fi security, right? In which case we want to get that WPA2.
You can't get WPA2 if your router is older than 3 years or 4 years.
So just to repeat the gentleman's comment in the front here, you can't get WPA2 if your router is older than 3 or 4 years. So here's my follow-up question. What does a router cost?
If it was my router, I would be able to tell you. They're not expensive.
Yeah, they're not.
The issue is this, will Verizon go along with it?
So you can get a new router from, I actually have Verizon as well. So when we moved a year and a half ago, I just returned all the old stuff and got new stuff from them. But yeah, I mean, you can also go buy one. But I believe if you call and tell them what you want to do, they'll accommodate you. So, has anyone ever had their email hacked? You know what that means? So there's different types of computer viruses. The first one is something called a worm. You get that when you actually open an email from something that has a virus implanted in it. And basically what the worms are doing, they're getting access to everyone in your email, your address book that's saved in your email cache, and then they're going to start sending emails to those folks. So like you get an email, you think it's from your mother, and it's for like a heart medicine or something like that. Majority of the time what it is advertisers trying to just market their products, but sometimes it is a little bit more insidious and people trying to actually get information off the computer, use it for their benefit. Also Trojans, that's when you actually, if you get an email, you actually open an attachment. Guess what? And you're looking at the blue screen of death on your computer, right? One thing that's worth saying about viruses, the Trojans and such, you all know who I work for and what I do. I don't work for IBM, I don't work for Apple or Macintosh. I have been told numerous times from people that know on like an iMac, like an Apple device, there are not viruses written for those computers. So as you see on the slide where it starts talking about the firewalls and the things you can do, like someone had mentioned, the SpyBot, the McAfee, or these things, these commercial programs you can purchase a subscription to get these types of programs off of your computer. On a Mac, there are no McAfee SpyBot. They don't exist because there are no viruses for them. So if you're in the market for a computer and this is something that's a concern to you, you might want to lean that way versus a traditional PC that runs Windows. So hopefully my preface that I don't work for Apple was suitable from the room standpoint. So if you do happen to have that happen, you open an email, Neil Kane, your information's been compromised. Please open this attachment to verify that you did, Neil's busy. He's a smart guy. Probably has the best hair of anyone I know. But that's not going to stop him from making a careless mistake in this example. So he opens it. Bang. Trojan horse on his computer, actually staring at the blue screen of death. We all had that happen. The question is, what did you do to back up your data, right? So there's a bunch of stuff you can do. One of the things that we're coached a lot to talk about is the cloud, backing stuff up just into this virtual space. You have to obviously pay, you subscribe for how much storage you're gonna do. Maybe at my young age, I'm a little bit old-fashioned in this sense. I actually use an external hard drive myself. This is something you can go to a Best Buy, whatever store you can buy, that Apple store, whatever. Just a physical device. You plug it in, it's just additional storage space. Take your files off your computer, all the stuff that you need to have secure, put it on the external hard drive, and put it in your safe. If your computer crashes, you have that stuff backed up externally, right? They make them fireproof, waterproof, your house burns down, it's still there. Not many people are aware that you can do that. And it's really, really cheap. Yes, ma'am? You have a question?
No,
Okay. So, if you do have a computer, you're going to give it to your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter. You just don't want to get rid of it. We want to wipe the data. You can do that. There's a gentleman by the name of Peter Guthman. You see the Guthman method. He wrote a paper on computer security that basically said, look, anything that stores data needs to be wiped 35 times to be truly clean. It takes a long time, it's expensive, there are commercial programs that do it. You see this one that's next to the Guthman method? The lovely, just eloquent U.S. Department of Defense, 552, right? Horrible name. But basically what our Department of Defense uses to wipe data, it just happens 7 times. So point being, there are things you can do if you do want to save the device to wipe it. I think the second one is a little bit more fun. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Office Space where the guys take the malfunctioning printer and dump it in the field, the baseball bat method. Take a screwdriver, put it through, right? You can just physically destroy this stuff and it's no longer a threat to you. How many times are you ever going to attend a seminar that's put on by, I would argue, one of the most reputable financial planning groups in the Mid-Atlantic, and you're going to hear someone in front of the group tell you to take a baseball bat to your computer? So I'll just take a minute and acknowledge that's unique, right?
I had a friend say to drill a hole.
Yeah, the drill, I think, so like my phone, these are my company's devices, they send them to us, when we get a new one, we send this back. I think that's actually what they used to do, is they would drill them, I think now they send them to some service. One thing I did want to mention is shredders. How many people in the room actually own a shredder? Honestly. It's about half. How many people's shredders cut in lines? Big long strips. The cost difference between a shredder that cuts in lines and ones that does cross-cutting or micro-cutting is non-existent. It's actually hard to find the ones that do the straight line cutting anymore. But if you don't have a shredder, you can buy a pretty decent one for about $150. Staples, Office Depot, whatever office supply store. They are worth having. My only complaint with mine is you have to be really careful changing the paper guts. The lesser of two evils, folks. You get a couple paper bits on your rug versus having your information stolen. That is an absolute must. That's another thing I mentioned, that the password app, we are required in my firm to have one of those in our home office. I work from home. What I have in my office, my home, is a state-of-the-art shredder. One of the things I've actually seen people do, like our neighborhood had one, was they had like a shredding party. They rented like this really long industrial-sized shredder, and everyone brings their documents. And they have drinks and food, and it's just a way to get together.
Montgomery County does that every couple of months.
Very good. So I'm in Anne Arundel County. We're not as up to speed as Montgomery. We don't have as many speed cameras as you guys either. I'm relatively positive in the Montgomery Speed Camera Hall of Fame. So just coming down the home stretch here, trying to wrap it up. We talked about the 3 Ds of identity theft: deter, detect, and defend. Just deterring thieves by being a little bit more secure in what we do and how we behave, what processes we follow. How to detect suspicious activity routinely by monitoring your financial statements. Also, we talked about the benefits of actually subscribing to a service that can do that for you. Defending against identity theft as soon as you suspect a problem. Again, we're going to go to that website we had mentioned earlier, ID theft. So, basic takeaways: shred your documents, protect your social security number. If someone's asking for it, ask if they can just use the last 4. Again, that's the holy grail of identity theft. Don't give out personal information to anyone unless you're absolutely sure who they are. Especially don't do it over email, right? Do not use obvious passwords. We just saw that slide that showed birthday, your high school mascot, your hometown, right? How many people out there are creating randomized passwords with special characters and numbers? Only very few, right? They put their dog's name or their kid's name or their anniversary date. That stuff is really solvable. And then just keeping the stuff secure in general, right? So, things to watch out for. If you have bills that routinely arrive at your home and suddenly you don't see one, that could be a sign of someone changing your address for you to collect that information, right? Something that seems like it should be so obvious to everyone, it's just, maybe we didn't think about it in those terms. Our credit gets denied. We don't know why. We go to apply for a loan, and it's 200 points lower than it was last time we looked. You're for $5 a year, $10 a year. Does that make one of those identity theft services seem worthwhile? I would think so. Inspecting your credit report. This is another thing to write down. I've given you 3 things to write down so far. This would be a 4th. I'm not asking you to take a lot of notes. www.annualcreditreport.com. You get one free one a year. There's no reason why not to do it. That's where you get it done.
And is that as comprehensive as if you were to go and get a loan for a car or a mortgage or something, and then maybe have isn't that sort of an abbreviated?
So the question that was asked is, when you go to annualcreditreport.com, is that an abbreviated version of your actual credit report, which is not as detailed if you were to buy a home or a car? The answer is this: I do not know. I've never gone to this thing. I actually subscribe to something where if there's changes to it, it lets me know. So I've never done that, and I don't want to try to fabricate an answer to you if I'm not sure. But certainly-
WRPS get reports of each of the three major schools. And they're quite small.
What's that report?
Right, so this gentleman here is my MVP of the night. Leads me right into my next slide.
I'm sure we already said.
Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Those are the three major providers of them. That's where you can actually go to get that information. I'm sorry, sir, did you have a question?
I got one of their credit reports, it was 20 pages long, the full report, so it was not abbreviated. There is an abbreviated form, but you can get the longer version as well.
So, just putting a bow on it. If we think something's been tampered with, we know it has. Obviously, we're going to close it down. We want to contact the authorities, and we're going to go to the PFTC, right, and help them negotiate a deal with that issue for us. Hopefully, no one here tonight was like that gentleman who I told me it was the worst presentation ever. He already knew all this stuff. Hopefully, there were some things that you learned. You know, we've updated this presentation a couple of times. I've been doing it for a few years, and I'll tell you, when I first looked at this, there were several things that were impactful to me, and that have thoroughly changed the way that I do things. Hopefully, you'll find the same. Before we wrap up, are there any other questions, thoughts? Yes, ma'am?
I have had the unthinkable occur. In August, someone broke into my home and took my computer.
I'm sorry, Victor.
Took my computer. I had it backed up, but nonetheless, they took my computer. I thought it was going to happen. Broke into a window, took my computer. I changed passwords in most of my systems and things like that. I changed my bank account for my job, that. Is there anything additional that I can do? For instance, I'm getting older and I'll probably be retiring within the next 10 years. Are there any other things that you would recommend that I should do to mitigate any damage from the theft of my computer?
Yeah, so just so everyone heard the question, this lovely lady had her home broken into and her computer stolen. And the question was, is there anything I can be doing additionally to protect with that kind of stuff? First thing I tell you is you want to talk to this gentleman here who's in charge of like actual security. That's not really my domain, but in terms of the actual information, having getting back to the subscription to one of the services, it's not just your credit report, it's a lot of stuff. So you can see when there's changes to any of your financial accounts and things like that. So, and it's a relatively nominal fee. I think they get as low as $5 a year, just for sort of the